We're just about to have a look at Paul Miller against Peter Rudd earlier in the night, and that was an outstanding bout also, Matt.
I think we're going to actually have a look at that fight. Okay, we're going to have a look at a fight from earlier this evening. It's Paul Miller versus Peter Rudd. And here we go for round number 1 of this contest. Both fighters in the black trunks. You can tell which one's Paul Miller because he's got his name written on the front of his trunks.
He's the one with the more hair, Matt. They're both in the black trunks, but Miller's the guy with more hair, and he's got a Commonwealth Games gold medal, and he's proving to be a real force in the professional boxing ranks at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to note that he was fought at the same Olympics as Danny Green. And Danny Green, as we know, has gone on to such big things. Paul Miller stayed an amateur for a while, and I believe to go to the Commonwealth Games.
He won the gold medal at Manchester. But it was interesting. He fought in the middleweight division at the Sydney Olympics, and was very unlucky not to get a medal. He lost 9-8 to the guy that ended up getting the bronze medal, and it was probably the most competitive division at the Olympics. You had four former world amateur champions, including Zolt Erdei, who now holds the WBO light heavyweight title. Plus you had guys like Jeff Lacey, who's a rising contender in the United States and a leading contender for the super middleweight title.
We're looking here at Paul Miller. Still has a couple of amateur traits about the way he fights.
He's very upright, isn't he?
Very upright, but he's obviously still very much a developing talent. This is still very early in his career. So he's on a big learning curve as far as the professional ranks are concerned. He's got a beautiful jab, though. He also looks very big for a super middleweight.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't see it that way, but I think he's very, very powerfully built for a super middleweight. He looks more like a light heavyweight or even a cruiserweight to me. He's very, very big in the upper body, and he's got the power to go with the speed too. He's got an excellent jab, but there's plenty of oomph behind it when he throws it, and he's really a class act all around. He's got plenty of heart. He got stopped a couple of times in the amateurs, but he roared back to stop those same guys in return fights, and he's shown a good kit of all-round skills, and certainly guys like Johnny Lewis, who helps Justin Rousell and Bull Parker in his corner with his training. He certainly has a very high opinion of Paul Miller, and we really expect to see big things from him over the next couple of years.
Well, he's proven himself here in the first round against Peter Rudd, who came in as a late replacement. There's a nice straight left hand there from Miller, finding the mark on the side of the face there of his opponent. Working well there behind the jab. He snaps out very nicely with that jab. He comes forward with it with a great deal of confidence. And Rudd at this stage, not quite sure what to do. There's a beautiful body punch there from Miller. He looks very composed in the ring, Paul Miller.
He does. There's been a lot of comparisons made between Paul Miller and Tony Madigan because they come from very much private school backgrounds. Paul was the school captain at Marist Brothers College in Brisbane. He's from a very much a professional sort of background. There's Peter Rudd in the corner with his trainer Roy Alexander. He's got his work cut out here tonight, Peter Rudd. And Paul's dad's a retired solicitor who comes from very much a white-collar background, and his sister Gail Miller won a gold medal in the water polo at the Sydney Olympics, and his brother-in-law is Ben Toon, the Wallaby rugby player. So certainly not a traditional boxing background, but the kid's got a real fighting instinct. And talking to his first trainer, Steve Geller, the other day, and he reckons he's got the heart and the talent to go all the way to a world title.
Okay, well, here we go for the second round of this super middleweight clash. Peter Rudd versus Paul Miller. Miller is the one with more hair, both wearing black trunks. Miller has the stripe down the side of his trunks.
And Paul's going to be ringside on Friday night at the Octagon at Randwick Racecourse because his very good buddy, another Manchester Commonwealth Games rep, Greg Eady, is fighting in the Australia versus Ireland amateur tournament there, where the top fighters in Ireland are taking on the Australia's Olympic hopefuls, and it's topped by a professional appearance by Paul Griffin, a very, very good Irish junior lightweight. and that's going to be a big show. And certainly Greg Eady will have the support of Paul Miller for that fight, because Paul's been a great supporter of amateur boxing in Australia for many years, fought at the Olympics and Commonwealth Games, and he's always doing his best, as does Koku Zoo, to help our Olympic hopefuls for Athens.
Well, Miller doing everything he has to do in this fight. Just over a minute gone in round number 2. He's continued to press the action. Beautiful jab there once again from Miller. He really snaps out with it, and snapping the head back of Peter Rudd, who is really just standing straight in front of him and so open to that punch. Miller also had a good solid left throughout the contest.
The only knock on Paul Miller that most experts seem to think is that maybe he's too nice a guy to be a professional boxer. He hasn't really exhibited the real killer instinct in his fight so far, and believe me, Matt, you would not meet a nicer kid than Paul Miller. He's a real credit to his parents and his trainers that he's had over the years, because he's the most polite, well-mannered, decent guy that you could meet, and he sometimes seems a little bit out of his league in there trading punches with guys, because he's just the nicest guy you could meet, but he does a great job of it. And as I say, he's shown tremendous heart throughout his career. Won that gold medal in the Commonwealth Games. He was fighting with a broken foot over there in Manchester, and he came away with the gold medal, and that's a real achievement that he'll be able to look on the rest of his life with, taking gold medal at the Commonwealth Games. Tremendous performance.
Well, he's absolutely dominating Peter Rudd, and that's what he needs to do early in his career against fighters like Peter Rudd. He needs to show those skills are developing and show that killer instinct. Here he has Rudd in a spot of bother there as he's backed into his own corner, digging well to the body. Rudd not going to lie down easily, though. He fights back off the ropes. But Miller, you can just tell that he has the edge in power and also in general boxing skills there. Another good combination from Miller, finding the mark on the face of Peter Rudd.
Let him go.
There's a few clinches in the fight so far.
Well, Paul Miller, of course, was working with Danny Green and Billy Hussein over in Germany. Paul Miller, of course, was working with Danny Green and Billy Hussein over in Germany. Paul gave Danny some of the best sparring he's ever had in preparation for that fight with Marcus Bayer for the WBC super middleweight title, and it was instrumental really in helping Danny perform so brilliantly against Marcus Bayer over at the Nürburgring. So he really is he's not outclassed in the top company, Paul Miller. Already he can match it with guys like Danny Green and Paul Briggs in the gym, and all the time he's gaining in experience and developing his skills.
Yeah, I know Peter Rudd isn't a great opponent, but you can see he has the basis there to become a really talented fighter. He has that beautiful jab.
Yep.
He has the size, he has the right hand, and he has the variety we've seen already in the first 2 rounds. He's dug to the body well, he's come back to the head. There's a nice short left hook there in replay. With a right hook that landed there in replay. It just shows you the sort of developing skills that he has, and it's, I guess, having a fighter, an ex-fighter like Justin Rousel in his corner is a huge benefit, because Rousel only recently retired, and Justin Rousel, during his prime, was one of the most talented fighters here in Australia.
Yes. And even though Peter Rudd hasn't fought the international caliber that Paul Miller met when he was one of the world's top amateurs, he has performed pretty well on the local scene. He held a stoppage win over Brad Reed, who went 12 rounds in the Australian title fight with Mark Pajero. And he's also beaten Brown Inye, who's a very capable local fighter. So he's certainly a difficult opponent this early in Paul Miller's professional career, and he's providing a good test.
Yeah, you can see there with Miller too, he doesn't waste energy. He throws very accurate punches. The jab has basically landed every time it's been thrown. And the variety there's a nice left rip to the body.
He's got a very good kit of punches, all digging to the body and back to the head. He's got excellent anticipation too. He's very, very good at avoiding shots. When he decides just to box, he's a very, very difficult guy to hit in sparring, even with the top guys. If he just concentrates on his defence, he's very, very difficult to nail with a clean punch.
I remember him as an amateur. He was a very good defensive fighter, and I guess as a pro you need to open up a little bit more if you're going to go, particularly if you're going to go from being, say, a national to an international fighter. And there we can see that accumulation of punches forcing Rudd to take an 8 count here in the 3rd round.
Okay. I don't box.
Miller continuing the assault. that jab once again from him. Really has worked a treat for him throughout this contest.
Well, they both came in at about the same weight on the super middleweight division, 12 stone or 76 kilos in the old money. But Paul Miller looks a much bigger fighter, and he looks much more dangerous, doesn't he, when he's digging that left hand into the body.
He just peppered in there with the jab to set up that left hook to the body. It looks like he has so much time in the ring too, which is very rare for a fighter who has so little experience as a pro. I guess that also comes from his vast experience as an amateur.
Well, he had 110 amateur fights, and he performed well around the world. He was at the Liverpool Cup over in England, and he won a silver medal at the Goodwill Games. Just missed out on the medal at the Sydney Olympics. So, real quality performance. Stop!
And that was a good stoppage there by Charlie Lucas. Peter Rudd was hurt a moment earlier. He was basically defenceless there along the rope. He was basically dead meat there along the ropes. Peter Rudd, he was taking unnecessary punishment, and Charlie Lucas jumped in and stopped the fight. An impressive victory there for Paul Miller. And there we can see Justin Rousell, his trainer, in the corner there, and he's in capable hands there with Justin. And he's obviously a fighter that is a man to watch over the next year or so, Paul Miller. Looking back there at the closing stages of the fight. There's that beautiful left rib to the body. And Charlie Lucas there giving him the benefit of the doubt on that occasion, but the assault continued there from Paul Miller. Good pressure fighting there from him throughout this contest. Worked beautifully behind the jab. And here's an interview with Nick Robin.
Completely different preparation to what we had, but I really want to thank Peter for coming at short notice. Peter, thanks very much. Really, thank you. And a special thank you to my trainers, Justin Rousell, Bull Parker, my cornerman, Ryan, Justin, Daniel. And special thanks to my family who came down from Brisbane to see me. Thank you.
Well, in racing terms, you're lightly raced. You haven't had too many fights. Where do you go to from here, do you think?
I would like to box at least every 4 to 6 weeks. The more I box, the better I get. And I had a really tough last 12 months with a lot of injuries. And hopefully things are going to roll on from here now.
Good luck to you, Paul.
Thanks very much.
Paul Miller there, and of course an Australian Olympian. Did so well in the Olympic Games in the year of 2000. Magic Miller, we call him from now on in. That's the way it always is with Paul Miller. So